we talked to them about this idea. It was me. The initial idea was do something similar to free solo, what they did for climbing. We had this idea, and with support of Skydance, support of Picture Start, and because Skydance Sport did The Last Dance about Michael Jordan, and then Paramount was the one who released it. It really helps to tell the story and to explain what freediving is. It shows some drama, but it shows also some beautiful dives with whales and some wreck diving. It just shows the sport in different ways. It's a lot about the sport, but probably 1% of freedivers really want to compete and do this as a sport. Most of the freedivers would do this for adventures, to see different animals and to explore themselves as well, because it really helps you to calm down and relax better if you understand your breathing muscles and how it affects your nervous system.
Welcome, everyone. We have another very exciting episode of the Flow Show today. It is a world champion, one of the greatest to ever do it in freediving. We have Alexey Molchanov in the building, and of course, a quick word from our sponsor, the Karate Combat, an amazing series of events, which they have live events all over the world. We're going to be talking more about that, and we will have some more exciting episodes with Karate Combat coming up. But first and foremost today, Alexey, thank you for the time, man. I appreciate you being here. This is a very big honor. Fresh off your video on Amazon Prime, Freediver. Thank you for the time, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jeff.
I got to ask you, so we're going to dive right in. We got a lot to talk about. This is a world I don't know much about. We met not too long ago, and I've started looking into it more, freediving. When did you start? What age did you actually start freediving?
I started freediving when I was 5 years old. I started swimming in the pool a few years earlier when I was 3 to 4 years old. And then at 5, it was the age when I was traveling with my family and started to dive in open sea and look for seashells and mussels.
What, was it at that age was it just completely fun? Were you scared at all? Did you just get introed into it in a way where you weren't worried at all? Because at 5 years old to go into the sea, it seems that would be pretty overwhelming to you're so small to go into the ocean.
I think my parents did a good job just introducing me to the ocean carefully, and it was shallow. I remember it was maybe a few feet depth, very shallow, and I was just searching for the small fishes. And it's the way how we organize it. You can throw little kids into the ocean where it's deep and scary and dark, or you can just get them to try it in shallow water where the little fishes are and make them excited. So I think it's all about how parents, how good are they with organizing things in a fun and safe way.
And when did you know that you wanted to do this for a career, for a living, that you wanted to be a freediver? What was there a moment when you said, okay, hey, I'm going to support myself doing this?
I think at 20 years old. I was 20. My first world championship was when I was 18 years old, but I was studying in university and I was focused on software. And I thought this is going to be my career. But by the time I was 20, my mom was developing her methodology in freediving. She started to train not only instructors but bigger community of professionals.
She was already world champion.
She was already world champion.
She was known as your mom's the best in the world, right, for women ever, Natalia?
Yes. And she was building the school, an international school, and I started to help her. And I was competing, but also she needed my help with management of the school. And then there was a need to develop the gear as well. Freediving was very new, I think it was back in 2005 when I was already competing on the world championships, and I saw that there is a need for equipment, and there is a need to support my mom with her school development. So then I started working, and then I thought, okay, and then I earned good money for this age when I was 18 years old, 19 years old, and at 20 I already saw, okay, I will do this. There's so much things to do, so I will do this.
That's awesome. And was this, you had a nickname, was it the Golden Retriever? Is that what it was? Is that right?
That's what they say.
The machine, or is that made up? These two nicknames?
No. Some of my fellow freedivers, they would call me that. And in different periods of my career, they would call me different nicknames. And it's not really a nickname that everybody uses for many years.
Friends and different people that know you.
I compete for 20 years, so I think it changes.
And to you, at where it is today, are you surprised where freediving is? How from when you started, when you said at 20 years old, now you're 38. Are you happy with how the trajectory of the sport and how it's going, or is it too slow? Is it too fast? Or are things starting to really take shape now?
I always wanted to be developing faster, of course, and we got a really good boost when we got underwater drones. So now you can film really deep and live. There are live streams from 100 meters of depth, 300, 400 feet of depth. now in the World Championships, and that's really helped to grow the sport. And now we have really good visuals, and people understand what do we do, like what do I do at this depth, and it helps. But of course, like we want it to move faster, to go into Olympic faster. There are some talks about Olympic Games, but it'll take some years, maybe like another 5-10 years to get into Olympics, maybe. And we're still waiting on the big tournaments and Grand Prix and leagues. That should come as well. It will help the sport as well.
Now, a quick message from our title sponsor, Bet105, who has the best odds in the game. They deliver with -105 odds on most markets. Better pricing, bigger profits, no limits on winners means they will not ban you for being good. And you can enjoy fast crypto payouts, instant withdrawals, and no hassle. Join the poker community where winning is welcome. Use promo code POKER and get a $50 bonus free bet when you deposit your first $100 today. So you're 38. In terms of athletics in the world, you see Tom Brady, LeBron James, they're 40. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl at like 43 or 40. I think he's 44 or 5 now, a few years ago. So how is it is there a ceiling on freediving? Could you be 50 or 60 or 70 and be the best in the world? Or how does that work in terms of like peak performance for freediving? What age is sort of considered the peak? And does it matter to be older?
So my mom was 53 when she was at her peak. And we see with men, I'm 38, I have some competitors who would be 40, 43, 45. And as far as you have motivation and you train regularly, in freediving, it's not all about like explosive, about something that will be more important when you're young. In freediving, it's all about your relaxation. It's about how well you can cope with stress, how well you can not react to the pressure and just stay calm under pressure underwater. And that's something we can do with like 40s and 50s, just how fit you are. So there are some pretty strong freedivers who dive 300, 400 feet, and they're almost 60 years old. Wow. And I know some freedivers who are 80 years old, and they would hold their breath for 8 minutes and dive to like 200 plus, 300 feet as well.
How long can you hold your breath for?
My best is 9 minutes.
9
minutes. Not my main discipline. I could hold my breath longer, but I would need to lose muscles. And I don't want to do that. In depth, to do deep dives, I need to be stronger. I need to kick my fins and have like really more power to dive and to ascend. And the guys who would hold their breath longer, they'll be usually slim. They'll be like very skinny.
Okay, so if I had to guess, I could hold my breath for, I don't know, 45 seconds or something, 30, 40, maybe 30 seconds, let's say. If you were to teach someone like me, just with no practice or work on it, how long would it take me to be able to get to like 3 to 4 minutes, let's say? Is it possible in a month, a year? How long does it take to train to be able to hold your breath for that long?
3 minutes is under a month. You might hold your breath for 3 minutes, maybe in the first or second or third session even. It depends what is your starting level.
Okay.
We can do a little practice today as well and see where you are. So you think it's 45 seconds, but I'm sure you can do like 1 minute 30 if you actually warm up a little bit.
Wow.
And some guys get to 5 minutes in a month. For some it will take maybe a few months or 6 months as well. Depends on your like fitness level.
And I see the movie Freediver starts off and you're doing the training. You're breathing in a water tank. How much of a difference? Or you're putting your head into a bucket basically of water.
Yeah.
How much does that matter versus if I just hold my breath here like this versus doing it underwater? Is there any difference really in how that works?
It was cold water.
Yeah.
So it slows down my heart rate and helps me to hold my breath longer. It's a little bit harder to hold your breath on the surface, like dry. In the water, you're floating. There is less gravity. You don't feel gravity, so it's nicer. But in a way, like in the water, you have a bit of, but potentially you have a like panicky sensation, or like you might feel a bit panicky when you want to breathe, and you realize it takes a few seconds for you to stand up. So these few seconds make you more tense. Dry breath holds are easier because you can just inhale like immediately. So the being in the water is like easier in one way, but it's hard in another way.
How does it, like if I'm in a pool and I'm practicing with my son, if I'm like really pushing it, and I guess is it the same as in an ocean if you black out? If it's like if you were to hold your breath and then you like blacked out, how long do you have before you can be recovered? Like if you're underwater and like someone like you're in the pool and someone's there for a while, how long do they have until they could be recovered?
It's
to come out of
It's
that
very
state.
safe if you have someone actually next to you.
Right.
And pool are the safest. It's more dangerous if you black out underwater at depth, like in the movie, in the Freediver.
Yep.
There you need
You were
really
like 30
well.
meters?
I was at 30 meters, 100 feet. So there you need a really well-trained safety divers who would like get you to the surface fast. And it takes about 30 seconds to get to the surface from 100 feet. And then another 30 seconds for me to recover and be breathing and be. So depth is much more dangerous. But in the pool, if you have someone next to you and you got immediately supported, just get out of the water, mask off, and somebody to call your name. And really, what really helps if somebody like blows into your face and your receptors you realize, okay, I actually can breathe. Your nervous system will give you a signal that's you can start breathing even if you're unconscious. So somebody calling your name and like blowing onto your face will start breathing immediately. And it's usually 5 seconds, 10 seconds, maybe 20 seconds blackout. And because we have so much oxygen reserves in the body, that's one of the myths, which is actually good to mention, that people would think that 5 minutes breath hold is dangerous for your brain. And it's just not true, because that's dangerous if you have cardiac arrest, your heart is not beating. And 5 minutes of zero oxygen in your brain is dangerous if there is like no oxygen at all. If we'll take freediver, who will hold their breath for 5 minutes, at this point, I did a study and I was holding my breath for 5 minutes. And at this point, I had probably about 70% of oxygen still in my bloodstream. So a lot of oxygen. Guys who would compete and do breath hold of 9 minutes like me or like 10 minutes, they would still have another 30%, 20% of oxygen. Heart is beating, enough oxygen, like it's less oxygen than ideal, but still some oxygen. So it's 5 minutes only when you have zero oxygen, then when it starts to be dangerous. But even if you black out, your heart is beating, and there is another few minutes for safety divers to support you and help you. And
what is the world record for holding breath? Is it, or do you know?
It's for the last more than 10 years. It's an 11:35. It was done, maybe already 15 years ago. And in world championships, we see guys do 10 minutes, 9:30. It's really hard to do 11:35. It was done outside of the competition. So it's sort of easier. In competition, guys would usually do 10 or less.
Why is that? Why is it easier outside?
Because of stress.
Oh, okay.
So this record was done with judges coming to person like home pool.
Underwater.
It was on the surface of the water.
Right. Okay.
And we have one person trying to beat this record right now. And we'll see, but it's really, really tough.
And that's not on your, so at the movie Freediver, it starts and there's 5 records you want to get. That is, could you explain what those 5 records are? And so this is not an aspiration for you to be the world record breath holder.
In a breath, no, because I will have to lose like 10 kilos or like 20 pounds of my muscles. And I don't want, and then I'll be less athletic. So
do you think that's, if you did make that your goal, would that be something you could attain? Are you close enough where you could get that, you think?
I think so. It's not my favorite discipline, but I think if I would
make it your mind set,
if my goal, like it'll take a few years, maybe 5 years, but I would be able to do.
And you
that.
would be giving up a lot of other things.
I will be giving up everything else, all the depth records.
Okay, well, so explain. I don't want to give away the movie. Amazing. Again, congrats. I want to ask you a lot of questions about that, but let's start with the 5 disciplines. What are those exactly?
So depth, we have disciplines with fins, and it's 2 disciplines. It's classical fins, 2 fins. And that's really a discipline that everyone can understand easily. It's just simple, like a lot of spearfishers around the world, like they would use 2 fins, and everyone would use 2 fins. Okay. There's monofin. That's a bit harder to learn because it requires a bit more technique. Your whole body is moving like dolphin-like movement. So that's so much more efficient. So monofin is the deeper one. And there's another one without fins, breaststroke. So this one is very athletic, requires a lot of energy spent on the way down, on the way up, a lot of oxygen. Not as deep, not as challenging in terms of equalization. Like when we equalize, we clear pressure in our ears. And it's not just challenging depth-wise, but it's very challenging like physique-wise. And the 4th one is using the rope, like just pulling on the rope. This is a nice one. It's something that a lot of beginners use to start learning freediving because it's so easy to just hang on a rope and look around. And it's really like one of the most enjoyable disciplines. You just don't need to swim or know how to swim. You just can pull down, pull up. Interesting.
And then you've done all these, but that was the goal. It was to do them all in 1 year. Was that was the idea?
Yeah, it was 4 competitive disciplines, and another one was using extra weight. So it's weight assisted discipline. It's not in competitions. You can just do like sort of like Guinness record, like world records outside of the competition, because it's so technical. It's hard to organize. So it's one of the first records in the movie when I used extra sled, extra weight. It probably was like 50 pounds of weight, which pulls me down very fast, more than 2 meters per second. And I got even deeper. I got to 510 feet with this discipline. It's a very similar discipline that, like in the movie, the Big Blue. If you saw the movie, like Grand Blue, the Big Blue from Luc Besson. Okay. It's 1988. It's like a Bible of freedivers. It's how the modern freediving started developing. So 1988, Luc Besson did a movie, and it was one of his favorite movies. He also was in love with water for many, many years. And very beautiful. Even now, if you watch the movie, it's amazing edit, like very nice music. And then freediving exploded in France and Europe. And that's how modern competition started, because 1960s, 1970s, there was one federation that was governing freediving, and then they stopped because they thought it's too dangerous. And there was no freediving development in 1970s, 80s, 90s. And then after the movie, another organization was formed, and they started to govern competitions, depth competitions, because the first one didn't. And that's how freediving sort of restarted. So the movie really helped with that.
That's awesome. Aren't you the president of the freediving?
I was running Freediving Federation in Russia, and I still do. It just was my mom was the first president of the Freediving Federation, and we were doing a lot of competitions and still do. There is like amateur category, there is kids category, there is para freediving with people with disabilities, and a lot of freedivers, actually, a lot of guys got into the sport and they like to be in the water with like some disabilities, and that's something I really enjoy doing.
And do you believe it will be an Olympic sport in the next, so you're hopeful that will happen? You think that's realistic in the next 4 or 5 Olympics?
In the next 4 or 5 Olympics, I think yes, because it's a sport, it's very athletic, it requires a lot of discipline, and it is harder to organize, but it's totally possible, because we see that surfing can be organized in open sea somewhere in a different location than the main Olympic event.
So you by that time you'd still be in, you would go be a gold medalist then, most likely. You'd be in the small category of people that would compete, because how many people realistically today, if you were to do it today, is it even a doubt that you would win the gold medal? How much variance is it? Is there some luck, or is it just you're the number one in the world, you would win, or is there challengers? Do you think there's 2, 3, 4 guys that could beat you in this right now?
Among 4 disciplines, competitive disciplines, I'm certain I can win 2 gold medals.
Okay.
So there are 2 with fins that are my strongest.
Yeah.
In other disciplines, it's a bit harder. There are challengers, but I think I can maintain my leadership in this fins discipline for the next years. But we never know.
What would be the biggest reason? Is it that it's so dangerous? Is that one of the reasons you think it might not be in the Olympics? Because like you're pushing boundaries to win, at this level, and that it'd be risky. Like, what is the reason you think is the stopping the Olympics to become a sport for freediving?
It's both. And it's risk, just for them to understand better what freediving is, and there is some progress with that. So I understand the risk better, like how we deal with blackouts, and they probably they don't want people to die in
of course,
live stream.
Yeah.
And track record of freediving competition is excellent. We actually, in more than 20 years, 25 years of competition, we just had one accident like 12 years ago. And since then, the rule changed. There was an accident when one of the freedivers, Nicholas Mivoli, injured his lungs really badly during the whole season, actually not just one competition, the whole season. And then he just injured his lungs, diving too deep and not adapting. And these injuries were the reason that he died in the competition.
Yeah.
And then since then, rule changed. Now there is a scan of the lungs every time we dive. And if person keeps injuring his lungs, not adapted to well enough, then he will not be allowed to dive the next day or at all.
Got it.
Wow. So since then, it was very, very safe. It's actually very dangerous to dive alone. That's where we see the most accidents. It's spearfishers, someone who would not have a buddy. So the body requirement, in competition, we have 10, 20 people of staff who will save you. There is safety team, there is medics, organizers, everyone is there to support you. So it's very safe. if you dive alone, if you have a buddy, it's very safe as well. But if you have no one, just dive and hold your breath alone in the ocean. That's the most dangerous moment, actually.
Have you, what for you personally, when you've been diving, has there been a moment where you were like, wow, I pushed it a little too far, that was risky, or I felt unsafe, or are you just so by the book how you do your stuff that you don't really feel, the blackout, for example, you had? I mean, what's the scariest or most real you felt like, wow, that was crazy? Have you had like one defining moment you could talk about there?
I push only in competitions, so even though I push it sometimes too far,
yeah.
In the movie you'll see one of these moments, I feel safe because of the team. Yep. Outside of the competition, I wouldn't dive even deeper than 100 feet usually without like one or a few people watching out for me, and that's why I usually just really plan my dives in a way where I always feel safe and I feel that somebody supports me.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And what is the best, most interesting technological advancement in the sport today that's happened maybe in the last few years that's allowed, so maybe safety measures or the drones or different things? Like what is the most interesting sort of advancement or even equipment that's been of late?
I think the drones, not the drones, but the drones definitely help the sport, like help people to see what's going on in the water. But now it's jets, underwater jets would help you to move underwater without any effort at all. You saw it probably with scuba divers or like somebody holding jets in their hands, sea bobs, and people having fun with these underwater devices. But lately we put them on our legs, and you can have a remote in your hand, and it feels like you fly in the water with zero effort. So I think these jets will really help freediving.
That's cool.
It'll in the next years it'll become more popular, and a lot of videographers, photographers use them. Freedivers, you can dive. Recently, I did an arch in Dahab. There's one very famous location in the world where it's a vertical cave in the reef, 100 meters deep, 300 feet deep. And then there is an arch. You go down to 60 meters, 200 feet, and then you can go to the arch in the open sea. So you go down 200 feet, go through the arch, and go up. And I did this arch many times with fins, without fins, and then recently I did it with the jets. So I'll post this video soon. But it was like just play in the water in a very different way, and it feels like you have infinite breath hold because you don't do anything.
That's very cool. And the movie Freediver, whose idea was that? How did they approach you? Did you talk about it and it came up? It's so cool. It's out on Amazon Prime. People can watch it if they have that subscription for free. Can also get on iTunes or Apple
TV.
Apple TV. And was it your idea? Or did they come to you? And how did that come about?
Initially, it was an article in GQ, pretty cool article. If you want to read it, it explains the sport really well. And this article was beginning, and after this article, we talked to Condé Nast because they own GQ. So we talked to them about this idea. It was me. Initially, it was do something similar to free solo in what they did for climbing. And me and my friend producer Lida, we had this idea and we presented it to Condé Nast, and they liked it. And after this, it started like with support of Skydance, support of Picture Start, and because Skydance Sport did this free soul, Skydance Sport did their The Last Dance about Michael Jordan. That was like really a good fit. And then Paramount was the one who released it. And I think it really helps to tell the story and to explain what freediving is. It shows some drama, but it shows also some beautiful dives with whales and some wreck diving. It just shows the sport in a different way. It's not only freediving is not only the sport. It's a lot about the sport, but about probably 1% of freedivers really want to compete and do this as a sport. Like most of the freedivers would do this for adventures, to travel around the world, to see the different animals, and to explore themselves as well, because it really helps you to calm down and relax better if you understand your breathing muscles and how it affects your nervous system.
Nice. That's really interesting. And would you say how many, you said only 1% would actively compete. Which countries are the strongest, and how many would you say if there was an Olympics, this next Olympics, how many countries would compete, and how many divers do you think would be competing for that gold medal realistically?
In the last biggest competitions, we already see 40 plus countries Every year it's more and more. It was like 30 countries 5 years ago. Now it's 40. It's almost actually more than 40. It could be 50 countries like next few years. So it's quite a lot of countries. And I'll say historically Europe was very strong because it started in France, and then it was France, it was Italy, Greece. It's very strong communities. But then now we have strong divers from all around the world, and US got some strong divers, and New Zealand, one of my biggest competitors, William Trubich, from there. Croatia, Italy, France, still, of course, Japan.
Is it competitive? Is it like friends at that level? Is everyone kind of friendly, or is it like a competition? Like, I want to be the best, and like with this, the person you just mentioned, are you guys like buddies? You text and are friends, or is it more like he wants to be the best, you want to be the best, and you have a bit of a rivalry? With
some, it's a bit of a rivalry, and with some, we're more friends. Right. And I think in freediving, it's more friendly than other sports because we dive alone.
Yeah.
And I know what they go through. Like it's hard. It's hard to deal with pressure and be there at darkness alone. So there's this empathy, like we know what they go through.
Right.
And it's not like racing and swimming where we head to head and we need to race and like there should be some adrenaline. Here it's all about relaxation and being calm and being relaxed. So because of the thing, it's like really deep connection.
Yep.
I have some really good friends. But of course, still everybody wants to win in the end.
For sure. And the start of the movie, I don't want to give away the movie. It's amazing. People need to go watch it. We'll put that the link below in the video here. But it starts out basically asking a question. It says, essentially the goal is to go as deep as you can and not black out and not die. That's sort of like how it says. And then it says why. And because there's no, how it breaks it down about what you're competing for, how it works. So without giving away, like kind of give me what for you, the motivation, what is it for you that you love and that brings you back, and that why? Give me the why.
From the very start, I think it is adventures. I loved when I was 5 years old. I think that was for my first trip to the open sea, and just being there and seeing these fishes and just enjoying being in the sea. This was the first experience, and it's still like one of my favorite things in freediving. Yep. I enjoy training process. I enjoy this routine. I enjoy goal setting. So for me, training is an important part of my lifestyle. I need that to feel good. I need that to have this cycle throughout the year. Okay, like my main competition is this. To achieve this goal, to win the world championship, I have to train every day. And then that brings structure into my life. And then I just live this lifestyle.
Yep.
And I feel good when I'm training. So that's why I'm doing this. Every new world record for me doesn't mean much because I have so many already. Yeah. The first one is the most enjoyable one, but now it just becomes part of this lifestyle, and I have to train to feel good. But the real joy comes from experiences, from like diving with whales. I love photography. I have my camera as well. I do some pictures and videos sometimes, and there's a bit of this creativity. Like I film that, I edit it, so I enjoy that the most.
And you have I believe 4-year-old son, or he's 4 now?
He's 4. Yeah, so he's 4 in February 17th.
Okay, so young 4,
weeks.
almost 4.
Almost 4.
And do you plan? Is 5? Is that kind of the age you think? Would you do the same things as? Would you like to do the same things with him as you were as a child? Do you feel at 5 years old you would like to take him in, or now at 4 even, or 6? Have you thought about that? Is that something that he seems to like, or what does he think about it?
He seems to like swimming a lot.
Yeah.
He's doing swimming, he's doing hockey, he's doing some gymnastics as well. So I don't want to push him too much to do too many things, but I have an example of my mom, what she did to me, and it's worked pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't think I will push him to do freediving as a profession.
Right.
For sure. Like it will be his decision.
Yeah.
But I will be able, I want to share knowledge and experience so he will learn that and be able to use this as a tool to use this in any other area of his life, whatever he chooses.
Yeah.
So he already swims and holds his breath for 30 seconds, like doing like dives and collecting some underwater toys, etc.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you're in the Freediver, the movie. I see your dad, Oleg, he spoke about it. You have your sister and loved ones around you. What are they? Do they worry more than you? Do you think? Like, is it something that you feel the worry from them? Because it seems very dangerous. It is obviously dangerous, but in the competitions, you say it's been only, it is actually very safe in those conditions, how they set it up. But how do you feel, how do you kind of deal with that with your loved ones that like maybe worry about that? How do you kind of calm them down, or how do you approach that with loved ones? And are they supportive, or are they like, don't do this, you shouldn't do this? How does that work?
They are supportive. I think now nobody's giving me, like everybody says, like my sister would tell me, like my father would tell me, okay, be careful.
Yeah.
And I know they're worried. Everybody is worried. And it's hard. It's hard for people to understand from outside why I feel this confidence. Like I know I can do this because I trust in my abilities. I trust my body. I trust my training process, and I know I have it in me. So from outside, people don't know that. And so we always have our loved ones and to be much more worried than we are, because they look at this process from outside and they know I train a lot, but they don't feel it in the same way. Like when I'm there ready to dive, I know I can do this because I did all these training dives and I feel like I have it in me. So I just trust my abilities, and I know, like, okay, if something happens, there are some safety divers. For people from outside, it's not so obvious.
Yeah.
They'll be like, okay, what if something happens? And they have all this imaginary dangerous. Some of them are real, some of them are not. So for me, of course, like I would just accept that they're worried. My mom would be actually the one who would be worried the most.
Yeah.
And but she would still trust my judgment, and she would allow me to do what I never listened really to anyone. So even to my mom, I was always, if I want to do something, I would do it my way.
Yeah.
And my mom would rescue me sometimes, like when I was a baby freediver, 18 years old, 19 years old, I would progress too fast. And because I progressed too fast in the first years, I would have some blackouts and I would have some lung injuries. And one of the dives when my mom was rescuing me, and I had like blood foam coming out of my mouth,
wow.
And she was giving me rescue breaths. That's not like something mother would want to do to her son.
For sure.
And she did that, and then she told me, okay, like you need to stop freediving.
Yeah.
And I said no, like I like it. Of course, I did a mistake, but it happens, and I will fix it, and I will not do this like in my next dives. I still have some deep blackouts sometimes, like once a year, once every few years.
What is that like during a blackout, when it happens and then you come back up? What are your thoughts after that happens? Like, what is that experience like?
It's always frustration, and like I did a mistake where I always think, okay, like what can I do better? How can I fix it? How can I change? Sometimes it takes a few months, like a month or a few months to fix the mistake with something in training process, something in recovery, in technique. So altogether, there are two dives in the movie where after one dive, like I failed one of the dives, and I had to recover and compete in another competition in a month. So I had like 4 weeks to fix it. And it was really hard, but I was able to come back, and I had about 5 or 6 things I fixed in like across multiple like areas, recovery, technique, even like warm up, and like several things, and I fixed them. And in 1 month, I was able to dive similar depth. It was few meters difference, like 2 meters, 3 meters, which is like 10 feet. But I was able to succeed and do the dive successfully. And but it's always, some people actually will react to failed dives with emotions. For me, it's never emotions. It's all about like very detailed approach, honest search for a real mistake. Sometimes it's very tempting to find some reasons which are not real. I think that's the most important part when you fail. If you fail and you look very attentively for the reason for this fail, then you'll succeed in the end. But for some people, it's like, okay, the weather was not good, or like somebody else's fault. If you're not very thorough with finding real reason for their failure, then you will not progress. So,
have you like down there? You said you take pictures and whales, and have you had encounters with sharks down there when you're diving? Is that typical or not really? Because the areas you're at, it's not. You're going down. Do you see sharks when you're down on free dives?
I would say it's not typical. To see sharks, you need to actually plan for this and go somewhere where there are sharks. So in general, like just training or being out there taking pictures, there's no sharks. It's easier to see maybe some dolphins or sea lions or Like someone else.
That's not your. Yeah, it's almost you have to go looking for them. They're not there to find.
They're not there all the time. You have to look. Maybe it's more here in Florida. It's more sharks.
Yeah.
But still, like when we train, we go out with a boat to Gulf Stream and dive. We don't see sharks in our normal spots. To go see sharks, we need to go somewhere like a bit more further north.
Interesting. I would think that would be sometimes you would just be down there and it would happen, or you guys be out and it would be around sort of in the area or be curious and.
There's certainly a chance. Like I think here in some areas there's higher chance than other areas, but in general, in my experience, always to hang out with sharks, I have to plan for this and go somewhere and have somebody, some sort of guide who knows how to find them.
Yeah, and tell me one of your, the movie, the footage, and just seeing the joy with your mother and freediving together. What's your greatest memory of freediving or doing with your mom and with the actual sport? Like, what is there a first trip or a first time? Do you have like a best memory with your mom?
I think diving, the first big adventure, it was many years ago, again 2005, like almost 20 years ago. That's when we were diving this arch in Dahab, it's Egypt. And diving arch, back then it was only two men who did it, and nobody from, no other female did it in the world. So my mom was first female to dive through the arch, so again, like 200 feet down. It's about like 60, 70 feet through the tunnel, and then you go up.
Wow.
And that was one of the first big adventures. And then it was like not competition, just awesome underwater adventure, getting ready for this. And you go down there, the visibility is crazy. You can see just 50 meters and you can see the bottom. So the visibility was like 150 feet or something. Wow. And that was and a lot of divers, not free divers, but divers died there. So this whole place has this legends around it. Wow. I think before 2000, when the safety rules were not in place, 200 plus or 300 plus divers died in this location. And
in Egypt?
In Egypt, in the Blue Hole.
Wow.
Because it's too deep. 200 feet is already too deep for like standard scuba diving. You have to have special knowledge, learn technical, advanced scuba diving, have mixtures. You cannot really do this with normal air.
That's a crazy amount of
and a lot of people died there. Wow. Now it's much less, like very few people die there because the rules are there. But you are there, a lot of free divers train there, but not many did the arch. And you dive through and like somewhere there at the bottom, very deep, but there are like a lot of scuba divers.
Wow, that's crazy. And so give me, F1, I saw we were talking before the podcast, there's different, there's Drive to Survive, there's Senna, this documentary, and kind of give a better understanding for how F1 works with stops. There's Tour, there's this, how it all works. How many actual official, like, is there a major tour, junior tour? How does it work? Like on a given year, let's just take 2025. We're fresh into 2025. How many competitions are there? Is there like a recognized top tour? Is it literally like, do you decide already you're going to go to these stops for the year? Is it set, or do you kind of make your schedule as you go? And how many would you say is at the top level for these competitions? How many different ones are there?
Total number of comps per year is about 300. So there's a lot of competitions.
300. It's like a poker series. There's like tournaments everywhere all the time. You can kind of choose when you want to go where. There's some in Europe, there's some in US, and they're different maybe level, but also.
Yeah. So every week, every day, almost every day there is competition. Okay. Majority,
wow,
2/3 will be pool competition. 1/3, like maybe like 100, a bit less than 100 is depth competition. Okay. And from these like less than 100 comps at depth, I would choose 5 or 6. Okay. That'll be the major
one. About every 2 months.
There's a world championship.
Right.
There's there's one in Bahamas. It's really big competition, happens every year or every other year.
Right? Netherlands one.
There's one in not there. It's one in Nice in France. There's a big one, a few big one in Asia, Philippines, not Bali. There was one in Bali, but not anymore. There's Philippines. So Philippines is a really big spot for everyone.
Is it like a set venue, or is it like, Burning Man, for example? It's in the desert, it's in an area, but they redo it all the time. Is there a set place in Bahamas where there's like a course, or they have all this stuff set and you go and show up, or is it always like changing when the competition comes? Is it always the same exact place within the ocean and they leave it like the area to do it, or does it kind of change a bit?
It's same set, yes. In Bahamas, it's perfect. Okay. There's a Dean's Blue Hole, one of the deepest blue holes in the world. There are some deeper one now, but this one is the most organized and perfect for competition. You just take a few steps from the shore, and it's immediately 600 feet deep, and it's protected from waves, and it's like
what's your record?
Artificial
258
pool.
meters, is that right? Or what's your longest meter to free dive for you?
With monofin, so with the extra weight, it's 510 feet, 156 meters.
Okay.
With monofin, it's 136 meters, which is like roughly 450 feet. So the blue hole is 600 feet. So I'm 3/4. Like,
wow.
It's
to touch
still,
the bottom?
No. It's like.
Is that possible or no? Or how much deeper is that? No.
So 200 meters, 600 feet. No. I think it's still years, maybe like decades away from anyone touching. 200 meters is really tough. So
right.
136, 450. It's too far still from the
But
bottom.
with an oxygen tank, you could do it. People can do it.
With extra weight, you could do this. With extra weight, there is the discipline where you go down with extra weight and come back with also without effort with a balloon. So it's like holding your breath, doing nothing, but just going as deep as possible. So in this discipline, there is Herbert Nitsch, Austrian freediver, one of my friends. He's not competing anymore. So he did the dive to, his official world record is 240 meters, which is 600 something, like 30, 40 feet. So he's deeper than Dean's Blue Hole, and he did attempt to do 800 feet dive, and he did it, but he actually suffered, like it was an accident. He had a decompression accident, and basically he was recovering after this dive for like a few years. He's fully recovered right now. There was a documentary about it by Red Bull as well. And he dove almost 800 feet, but it wasn't like successful in a way where he totally did without any problems.
Wow.
So potentially, this Dean's Blue Hole in Bahamas is perfect, but for normal disciplines where I don't use extra weight, when you just swim down, swim up, it's plenty. And there are also set location in Philippines. It's a school, there is a pool, everybody goes out in exactly in the same location. There's a platform. Usually it's a platform in the ocean. So it's a platform. There is a crane, counterweight system to allow freedivers to dive on the rope. And then if something happens, the rope will be pulled up very fast. So if there's an accident, if there's no freedivers around, safety divers to help you, the rope with a competitive freediver attached to the rope will be pulled up with a speed of 2 meters per second. Wow,
interesting. And is there an active committee to get into the Olympics? Like, is it every year there's like a meeting, or they talk, or has it been done what needs to be done, and now it's on them to decide? Or are you actively constantly talking?
It's active effort. It's actively constantly talking. There is active committee with one of the sports organizations. So it's work in progress. They want to see safety procedures that is safe, and they want to see more views. If we have more views, so if they see that there are like just millions of people watching freediving competition, then it'll be enough.
What is your hope for this movie, Freediver? What would you consider to be a success? I mean, obviously it's amazing to have that, right? It's just like such a beautiful piece that's done, and you have forever to people to have that. But what for you? Is it the views? Is it the reviews? Is it that the sport grows? How will you measure success?
I think I want just people to understand the sport better watching this movie, so it's out there. It's just recently released in December, so it's very fresh. I think the views will be important to understand, and see how it affects people going and trying freediving and going through education as well to learn about freediving in a safe way. So it's a views. It's a growth. We'll see the growth with our education companies. So I have an education company which teaches freediving around the world. We have some other competitors as well who teaches freediving around the world. So more and more schools should appear, and more professionals, more instructors, more proper facilities to train freedivers. So there's like 10 times more facilities, and pool classes, depth facilities, and there is more. We can see just recently there's few more schools opened in Honduras, in Rotan, much more in Mexico. So there's a lot of schools around here.
Very cool. And yeah, it's pretty amazing how it does seem like it's growing though. It's like, from what I understand, it seems like, would you say, how would you quantify a number of people that are active? Like, is it, in what age do people typically start? Would you say, like, how many active worldwide freedivers are there? Is like registered, like tennis or even paddle tennis now? There's an app, and people are coming in getting rankings and ratings. Is there like an app for people?
There is an app, but competing agencies, education agencies wouldn't share it. There is no unified.
Got it.
I think it's hard to understand still overall number.
Right.
And then there is a number for freedivers who went through the courses and did some certification. But there is like 10 times more freedivers who just do it for fun and go in open sea and do freediving, but without an education. And I think it's millions of those guys, like everyone who's doing spearfishing, like millions of spearfishers, millions of snorkelers.
Wow.
So it's a big community. And certified freedivers, I would estimate it to be a few million, like maybe 2 million certified, those who did the courses. We certified, and there is like plus minus like 10 organizations around the world who do certification. We have 100,000 plus, we certified 100,000 plus freedivers already around the world, and we're one of the newest organization as well, and we're catching up. There is a lot more freediving now happening in as an applied activity for other disciplines. Like for example, a few days ago, I was in Los Angeles and I taught breathwork and breath holds for firefighters and who are actively on duty, and they're like 24 hours on, 24 hours off. And even though they were tired, and there was like captains and they were tired, but then some of them still did 3-minute breath hold. And we're doing breath work to work on their efficiency of breathing and do some breath holds without any movement, or breath holds plus squats. To see how long you can hold the breath while doing something.
Yeah.
And then it can be development of freediving in this direction as well, which can be applied for some for firefighters in this example, or for surfers as well. So surfers learn how to do freediving to be able to calm down and wait for the waves, and they get washed. And
wow.
So that, and just in general in variety of sports. So I think it has a lot of potential to grow with people who actually want to learn freediving, and with people who want to use it for other areas as well, for other sports as well.
Very cool. And your most popular, where would you say is the most popular in the world right now? Where is this like exploding, and people just seem to be coming out or great at it? You know, where do you know?
It's Asia for sure. Asia. It's one of the 3 biggest countries in the world right now, would be with the biggest growth as well and biggest numbers already. Is Korea, is China, and Taiwan. A lot in Philippines, in Thailand, Indonesia. So all Asia, this region is huge. Communities in Europe are historical, like Italy, France. They're really big communities as well, but they don't grow as fast.
Interesting.
In US, I think in US, it's growing. There is one thing that slows down the growth in the US so far, and there are some ways to fix it, but it's public pools. Private pools are better, but public pools, municipal pools will not allow freedivers to do breath hold practices, which is totally fine if it's unsupervised. Like if someone come to the pool and tries to do breath holds by himself, that's not safe. So that should be forbidden. But if there's an instructor, professional, who is responsible for the safety of his like student, etc., and he knows how to do this safely, then it should be allowed, right? Because then it's actual education, and it makes things safer. It's like swimmers like forbid swimming because people can die, like
for sure.
And swimming is allowed, so people learn how to swim, not to die, right? Not to drown. So freediving is the same thing. If you allow education in the pool, freediving will grow faster. And some pools are okay with that, some pools are forbidding that. And again, there's it's important to understand the difference, and not all pools like want to understand the difference between professionals who do this, who actually help to make things safer and grow the community, who knows how to do it safely, and those who do this unsupervised.
How would you say the sport is? Is it a rich man's sport, poor man's in the middle? Because, you know, soccer or hockey or being a racer, right? Like it's expensive. Like there's a cost to start. Is it expensive, or, you know, because again, it's one thing to just freedive on your own. It's another to have equipment, a team, have the right people. You know, you have to travel sometimes or go places. So how would you rate sort of the cost of it to get into the sport? If your kids want, you know, teenagers or someone wants to get into it, how expensive is it?
I think it's similar to winter sports. If you think about surfing, it can be very affordable. It depends on where you live and is it far from the ocean? How far is it travel? So a lot of it is travel expenses. The gear is not expensive. You can have a basic set of gear, which is similar to whatever surf set or snowboard or ski set.
Yeah.
It's very similar, even more affordable. If you live somewhere warm, you could have some swim trunks and inexpensive fins and a mask. That's it. Education, that costs money. So like going through courses, you need to pay to instructor to understand the sport. And I think that's actually higher cost and more important than in winter sports, and because that's your life, right? You want to understand things and train properly to be safe out there.
Can you make a living? It's not like prize money or tours. Like, so you're the best in the world. You're one of, if not the best, regarded as you're the world record holder. Top of the top. You got a movie that come out. Your sponsors, different things you're doing. But how is it? Is there a market for professional to make a living being a professional? Is that possible right now, or only for a few, or how is there a group that's doing that?
There is already a group that's doing that, and sponsorships. If I didn't really look. I have a company, so I don't need sponsors, or I don't need to try hard to find sponsors myself, because I can. For me, I was I'm one of the very few freedivers who would have the international businesses, and then I don't really need sponsors as much. But some of my friends who don't have their businesses, they would look for sponsors, and they would find some support from car makers or watchmakers, and
basically saying, well, hey, we'll put our logos on your stuff, and you're doing some content. Put us on there, and then we'll pay for your travel, your team, or things.
Yeah,
what do you need to do? What would a typical sponsorship maybe look like for someone who was like, hey, they're doing it at a high level, they're traveling around to these 5 or 6, 7 competitions a year that are big. What could that look like potentially? These type of deals.
I think currently we don't see like millions in sponsorship yet, but some freedivers, top level freedivers, can secure like $100,000, $50,000, $200,000.
And that's partially because of the views, some of these competitions, and they're getting that exposure, and it's
views and it's unique content, because underwater content is very beautiful.
Yeah.
And a lot of the companies want to do something with that, and with underwater content. So there is a group of people who already do that, and there is another group of top freedivers who would be able to make a school and to make living by teaching people, and they can do it themselves, or they can organize a business, build a school, and they have a team of instructors working for them. So doing little businesses that will sustain your lifestyle of doing freediving. So a lot of the time, actually organize your own school makes sense, because you can train, you can have professionals around you to support your training. So we have some freedivers, top freedivers, who would move to Asia, so they can train all year round. It's always warm, and they have a school which works as a business, give them money, but they also have instructors and safety divers there to support their training. So I don't do that. I have a school as well. I have a few schools around the world, but my focus is on growing the community. So I focus on the agency and production of the gear, all the equipment for the freediving. So that's why I don't need to work as hard to find sponsors, but a lot of freedivers would do that.
Very cool. And I think we met through a mutual friend, Dan Bilzerian, and we were talking about this place in Dubai. I think we were saying about how much it was. I remember it's not too long ago. But
deepest pool in the world.
Yeah, that is the deepest pool in the world. And what is? Tell me how much that is, and how much that costs, that venue, and are there others similar being developed, or would that be interesting to you to open some of those in the U.S.?
This is the deepest pool in the world right now. It's 60 meters, 200 feet deep. And amount of water there is crazy. I think it's equivalent of like 5 or more, or up to I think it's 5 to 10 Olympic pools.
Wow!
So it's just like certainly 5+.
Wow!
And it's underwater, underwater sunken city. There are trees, there are rooms and cars and Formula 1 car, lots of cars and motorcycles. So it's just an amazing place, very beautiful place to dive. And we met with Dan there, and it's just somewhere I dive a lot, and a lot of celebrities would go there as well, because it's unique and people would want to dive there. And when I'm in Dubai, it's like just my place to be. I'm always like full. I'm there all the time. Have meetings all the time there. The facility is beautiful. It's like a spaceship.
How much does that cost roughly? Do you know how much that costs?
There is no number publicly available. Roughly, it's probably like 200-300 million to build. But I think for Dubai, it was just investment in the brand of Dubai. So they don't really care how much it costs. And they want to have the deepest.
So it's not something you'll see pop up around Vegas or New York or here. Most likely, it's just That's it's super expensive.
This particular pool is super expensive, but I think now we see about 20, 25 deep pools around the world. 10 years ago, there was just one.
Okay.
It was like two pools. Now it's 25. So I think in 10 years, it'll be like 50 or 100 pools around the world.
Is
so
it
every
fresh
year,
water or salt water?
It's usually fresh water. It's usually fresh.
Right. Yeah.
Or sometimes it's a water from underground. And it's in Italy, there's this thermal water deep pool, and the water comes super hot, so they need to cool it. But the water comes out of the ground. And,
wow, that's cool.
And I think those pools would cost usually 10 million.
Wow.
Some would be even less. We saw some pools built very efficiently for 5 million. So then if it's 5-10 million, it makes sense. I think Vegas would be really good because it's a destination location. And if it's connected, maybe it's a tank with mermaids as well, mermaid show. It's a deep pool, but also it has the glass wall. So Vegas totally makes sense. And I'm talking to a few people now to make it happen in US.
Very
I think
cool.
if I can help to like open more spots, deep spots like this around the world, that will certainly help freediving to grow. And
you now, do you enjoy more the business side of things or the actual? Do you enjoy the business, or do you like to dive more? Have you kind of gotten crossed over now where you're doing these type of opportunities in business, and what do you enjoy more today? What's your most with your time?
Sports takes few hours a day, so for me it's a habit, and I enjoy competitions. I enjoy my training a lot and competing a lot, but I do it for so many years, so it's just the same routine every year, all the time.
Yeah.
And I love adventures, so I still have to see orcas, and I didn't see orcas yet. I saw sperm whales, humpback whales. So I do enjoy that, but business-wise, I think if you compare, I like the business almost more now than doing competition and seeing the results, seeing how many more like people join the movement, join the community. So that is just something I enjoy a lot. Like I think even more than sports right now.
How many? Give me an idea of what goes into your personal team. You have coach, manager. What all goes into your whole process for everything you're doing today? How much actual help do you have and across the board? Social media team. Give me your whole kind of playbook on what you do.
Personal team. So outside of the business, I have a few coaches. It's assistant coach who would help me with the program for dry training. Coach from one of my schools who is focused on my pool training as well. So I make sure I have trainings in my schedule, and I don't have to think about myself. And I will schedule the pool trainings, all the dry trainings, so I don't miss them, because sometimes I'm just have too many meetings or I move around too much. Then it's really easy to miss the training. So I think the scheduling, having enough training coming from my coaches to have those 10 trainings per week, like roughly, I think plus minus 8 to 12 trainings per week. So this is the focus of my team. And social media team, there's about 5 people there to edit, to plan for things and brainstorm. I'm still doing all their text and everything and clear the ideas. There's a team there, and I think that's it on the personal side. Probably it's under 10 people on the personal side.
Yeah, it's really wow. Okay, so a lot, and that's and is there any place in the world you just love going to, whether it's traveling for your pleasure or a mix of the competition? Is there one per year you're just like, I love this place, I'm never going to miss going to this place for this competition, or just to go enjoy?
There are a few places which I go every year. Some places I don't go every year, and there's too many beautiful places in the world. You can't just go every place. But cenotes in Mexico, one of my favorites.
What's it called?
It's cenotes. It's lakes in the jungle.
Okay.
And it's freshwater lake. There are some sulfur clouds. There's freshwater in the first 30 meters, 100 feet, and then there is a sulfur cloud usually, and there is a salt water underneath. And you have sun rays, and they're very visible. They're very beautiful. So there you have just one of the best content, and it's one of the best places in the world to dive for sure.
Wow.
So it's Mexico, cenotes, and then in Mexico in general, you have so many different locations. You can travel to Cancun, Tulum, and dive there.
Tulum is. I know there's some of these caves or places. Is that one of the more popular?
This
places?
is the cenotes. They call them cenotes.
That's where
this is the caves.
Okay, that's the number one for you.
And that's number one. Then you can fly to La Paz or Cabo, still in Mexico, but Pacific side, and there you can see whales, you can see whale sharks, you can see sea lions and sharks as well. So in Mexico, there's just so much variety.
Okay.
So one of my favorite for sure. In Asia, it's Bali and Philippines.
Nice.
So almost every year I would be somewhere like Bali or Philippines. Just great water, great.
If I want to go and do this dive with you in Sonoras, like how much training and maybe we can do a tiny bit of breath work here before we leave too. But what would I need? How much experience and training would I need to be able to enjoy that Sonoras, for example, to go down and dive a bit? Or would I not? Is that something more advanced?
Anyone can go right away. Because if you have someone there, actually in Mexico, we have quite a lot of trainers who can get you with zero experience. You spend a day or 2 days practicing, and while you practice, you look around, you have already beautiful content, a lot of emotions being there. And let's do a short practice. I will explain you how to prepare for the dive, etc. But you can just go and start. If you have a trainer at this location with zero experience, you can start that. People think that there's much less abilities to do breath holds than they actually have, because we have a lot of oxygen in our lungs. If you inhale, you would think, okay, that's my whole reserves of oxygen, but it's not true. It's actually roughly 30%, 35%, depends on how large your lungs. More than half of the oxygen is in your bloodstream. Like lungs would be just like less than half. And some of the muscles, professional freedivers could hold their breath with empty lungs, full exhale for 3, 4, some would do it for 5 minutes. So with full empty lungs. So currently the range that is available for beginners, for amateurs, is 3 minutes, available very fast. 4, 5 minutes. 5 minutes is also amateur freediving. Like 6 minutes plus. Is there
health benefits to? Is it does it help your abs, or if I could start holding my breath for 4 or 5 minutes or 3 minutes? Is there health benefits to that too, or any type of benefits?
There is a health benefit training your breathing muscles. You make them stronger, so you can inhale more air with each breathing cycle, which helps in any other activity, in any other sport.
Okay.
So you just become more efficient because you can...
cardio kind of in a way, or no?
Cardio...
It would help you for...
It will help with cardio. And if you can increase your lung size by 10% or by 20%, like 10% is very easy. If you're doing breath work, and freedivers would do breath work every day or every second day to get their lungs bigger and more, and also stronger breathing muscles, but also more flexible and deeper exhale. So intercostal muscles, diaphragm. For deeper exhale, it's abs as well, but I mean, doesn't require so much effort. But developing diaphragm, making it stronger and more flexible, developing breathing muscles like intercostal muscles, making them stronger so you can inhale more. There is a health benefit right away there, being just more efficient with each cycle. And then there's a health benefit being more resistant to increased levels of CO2, which is carbon dioxide. The urge to breathe, and that's what we will test right now.
Okay.
The urge to breathe comes not from the low oxygen. We don't feel low oxygen really well. We actually want to exhale or stop breath hold because our breathing muscles are not trained, are not strong enough, or are not flexible enough as well. So the first urge to breathe comes from that. We just want to exhale. And the next urge to breathe comes from elevated levels of CO2, carbon dioxide. And we can feel the urge to breathe when we still have 80, 90% of oxygen in our bloodstream. And we have a lot of oxygen.
Wow.
Roughly, we should always remember that if we are efficient with technique, we're not using too much oxygen, we're not like running or sprinting, we're relaxing or swimming very slowly. After the first urge to breathe, we have the same time in us. If it was like 1 minute of comfortable breath hold, then we have another minute for sure. If it was 2 minutes, then another 2 minutes. With professional athletes, the first urge to breathe for me starts at 4 minutes, 4 minutes 30. And then my total time is 9. So I can do 4 minutes 30, which is comfortable, and then another 4 minutes 30 when I have like a bit of urge to breathe and a strong urge to breathe, but I still can safely do the breath hold and do that. So just knowing that we have a lot of oxygen already helps. This knowledge helps.
Wow, interesting. So, all right, so how do let's do?
Let's do 2 exercises. First of all, just practice deep inhale to understand how can we fill our lungs in the most efficient way from lower part of the lungs all the way to upper part of the lungs, and focus a lot more on the back, because sometimes we would inhale without inhale into our lower part of the lungs and just inhale with our chest, with our upper part mostly, and we'll miss out on the most important part, which is trying to almost inflate the belly. You feel like you inflate the belly, and then you try to inflate your back as well, because when we try to inhale and open our chest, our back is tense and our shoulder blades would be like rigid, and we'll miss out again like on the lower part and on the back. And the lower part and the back is one of the most important areas of the lung. Let's do stepped inhale. Start with the lower part, only with the belly first. So inhale. Try to inflate the belly. Stop for a second, relax your back, and then we top up. We'll do 2 top ups. And then you, after this first part, we'll inflate our chest, but try not to arch your back and try to feel that your back expands more. 2. And then for the third part, then you can lift your shoulders a little bit. But again, think more about the back.
Okay. I'm trying to, it's interesting because I've done, again, with my son in the pool, I've done some, I'll hold my breath or do some little fun stuff with him, but I would be curious what my actual breath holding time is and what it could be. You think you could increase me by, like, I could get over a minute, you think, within a day or two?
For sure.
Quickly.
For sure.
Okay.
Like over a minute in day 2 or right now, actually.
Okay.
So those 2 deep inhales, we'll do a couple just to warm up, and inhale and full exhale as well. So exhale everything. And push a bit more, so you finish the exhale, do extra exhale, hold your breath. And now when you feel that the lungs are empty, hold your breath, lift your rib cage, and like this we stretch our diaphragm. You want to pull the diaphragm up, so you feel a bit of negative pressure, like a vacuum.
I mean, okay. So, but sorry, breathe out and then you do it?
And then you do it. So the deeper exhale you do, the better the stretch will be. Breathe out everything. Hold your breath. So you want to feel negative pressure. You want to feel like it's vacuum. So we get used to positive pressure and adapt to positive pressure when you inhale. And this positive pressure with the full inhale, that's something that makes us very tense, and we want to breathe out. We want to stop our breath hold. And negative pressure, that's something that we feel underwater when we dive deep. We don't usually feel it on the surface, but when you dive deep, this empty lung makes it really hard to relax. So getting used to positive pressure and negative pressure helps to stretch our breathing muscles, make them stronger as well, but also helps us to adapt our nervous system to that. Right. And while you rest, just rest a few seconds, we'll do one more cycle before the breath hold. I will show that there is like 2 cool techniques in freediving to top up your lungs. It's only for already experienced freedivers when your breath hold is 5 minutes plus, and to reverse back the remaining of air from the lungs, which is usually impossible to do with just with the breathing muscles. So if I would inhale everything, like my lung size is roughly like 8.5, 9 liters with the residual volume. So I would inhale. And then I could pack another 2 liters on top of it. So I do this without breathing muscles. It's only my mouth, neck, tongue, all these muscles coordinate, and I pack 2 more liters. Wow. And the reverse pack usually is less. It's not 2 liters. I can reverse pack maybe half a liter, maybe up to 1 liter. It looks like this. Exhale. So I just pull the air out of my lungs, make them smaller and smaller and smaller. So this technique will just make me more flexible and up to bigger inhale and bigger exhale. And let's do another one. And now we'll do a gentle stretch. So full inhale with top ups. 1, 2, 3. Start with the belly and inhale, thinking about your back as well. And then when you finish, a gentle stretch one side, another side, like arch your back and then roll your shoulders. So breath hold plus stretch. 10 seconds. Okay. Inhale. Belly. Top up. Relax. Relax your shoulders and top up. And gentle stretch. And exhale. Full exhale. Hold the breath. Feel this negative pressure and try to, while holding the breath, elevate your ribcage and relax. And you want to make this negative pressure stronger. So when you pull your ribcage up, your diaphragm pulls up as well. Then it will take some time to feel this negative pressure, but this is the stretch you want to do. Breathe. Okay, so that was first part.
Okay.
Just warming up, stretching, working on your biggest possible inhale, full exhale. And now we'll do actual breath hold. And when you do the breath hold, remember that you have a lot of oxygen. The first urge to breathe will start when you might just be tired with the breathing muscles.
Yeah.
And it's not even oxygen. Your oxygen might be 95%. So we'll do first breath hold,
okay.
And you'll feel this urge to breathe. And your goal will be to feel this urge to breathe and relax even more. Like lower your rib cage, lower your shoulders, make sure you don't react to this urge to breathe. And what we learn, and that's why another benefit of breath hold is to be not reactive to the stress situation where your CO2 is elevated.
Okay.
And it's very stressful when your CO2 level is elevated. And by being non-reactive, staying calm, that's a really good technique to learn because you just learn to be non-reactive to one of the strongest like stressful situations in life, like urge to breathe. For us, it's a moment when our nervous system in a survival mode. Okay, like we don't have oxygen. That's really life-threatening situation. Mm-hmm. And if we learn how to be calm in this moment, that teaches you, like that trains your nervous system to be less reactive.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, 30 seconds of very shallow breathing with the belly. One of the myths in freediving, we have to hyperventilate, etc. But by hyperventilating, you increase your heart rate. We don't want to do that. We breathe only with the belly. You exhale, and you have a small 2-second pause, and then inhale again. Belly in, belly, exhale, pause, and do the same cycle for another 20 seconds. So hyperventilation, active ventilation is not allowed for like in freediving when you're in the water. There are some techniques of hyperventilation, like for example, in Wim Hof technique for cold plunges, right, in ice water. But in freediving, it's actually not safe.
How is he? Is he legit? He's big, like Wim Hof?
It doesn't work. Like his breath work doesn't work for freediving because it just makes the dives not safe. Mm. If we hyperventilate, our heart rate is elevated, our breathing muscles are tense, and our body doesn't get into this necessary state to be very efficient with oxygen. So I'm not doing a lot of ice. What do
you think about ice baths in general? Is that part of a routine, or is that not?
It's not part of my routine. Yeah. I can do this. I did it a few times.
But you think it's good in general for health benefits?
In general, it's good, but I think it's good, but it's not something I would do every day. I'm not fanatical about doing it like as my part of the daily routine. Like once every week or a few weeks, maybe I will do this, but I'm not too fanatical about it.
Let's do the breath work. And I do want to ask you, I know we're going to run in lower on time too today, but I want to ask you about your daily routine in general. Okay. So, but let's do the breath.
Okay. Do a few more cycles. Okay. So I wanted to highlight the importance of tidal breathing. We call it tidal breathing. It's only belly breathing. So the idea is to slow down your heart rate and get into this parasympathetic mode of your nervous system instead of being all tense, being very, very relaxed. That'll be the best start of the breath hold. And then we will not inhale 100%. We'll inhale 60, 70%, a bit more than half, because your breathing muscles are not yet trained. So it's much better to inhale comfortable amount of air, not 100%. Okay. After next exhale, do very slow inhale, a little bit more than half. When we start the breath hold, close your vocal folds, feel that the pressure pushes against your vocal folds, and there's a bit of pressure in your belly, but lower your shoulders, lower your rib cage, trying to find this comfortable position of this air bubble, and it's usually a bit lower. It's not in your chest, it should be more towards your belly. And find this comfortable position, and you can close your eyes, relax, and understand that there's plenty of oxygen. It's all about your breathing muscles being a little bit maybe tired and reacting to this positive pressure. So it's positive pressure. And if you want to breathe, we'll do one cycle where you don't react. You don't start breathing. And you can exhale maybe a little bit and continue breath hold. So you reduce pressure and then it's easier. And oxygen-wise, if you would have measurements right now, you probably have 90% of oxygen still. And you observe, what is it? Before CO2, the next signal that you have is urge to breathe because of elevated levels of CO2. And that'll be like contraction. As soon as you have contractions, yeah, breathe. That was 1 minute 15.
I think I took a couple little in between, but
no, I didn't see you inhaling.
Okay.
I think you were exhaled, and that was the first try. We'll do the second one, the last one. And you know the drill already. We'll do tidal breathing, breath hold, and you just keep observing how your body reacts. And you know you have plenty of oxygen. The first thing that makes you want to breathe is not yet enough flexibility in breathing muscles. The second thing, if you start having these contractions, that's elevation of CO2, and we have a lot of oxygen to keep going, and it's just being adapted to this urge to breathe. Okay, 30 seconds tidal breathing, belly only. Focus on exhale, and short pause 2 seconds after exhale, where you just rest. You do nothing. In, out, rest. In, no chest, only belly. Out, rest. In, out, rest. One more. In, out, rest. And you do a couple of natural cycles without thinking about it. Like, it could be a couple of sighs, like a sigh. And after the next one, we start. Again, comfortable inhale, a little bit more than 50%. And we start. Find this most comfortable position of this air portion. Again, it's not in the chest. Move it down a little bit towards the belly. Make sure your neck is relaxed. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. Just observe your breathing muscles. Observe your diaphragm, your belly. And you want to observe and not react. You want to see, okay, what is it? Do I want to let like 10% of air out? It could be like a really small exhale, which will make it comfortable. And then the second thing is CO2. And you can still do another 30 seconds easily after you feel urge to breathe. So it comes in waves. You feel urge to breathe, you relax even more. Lower your shoulders, make sure your neck is relaxed. Relax your belly, relax your abdominal muscles. And you can relax your face, half close your eyes, not like don't keep them wide open, half close your eyes or fully close them. And if you want, you can let a small portion of air out to make it easier for breathing muscles. And then go through a few cycles. So like, feel something, relax even more. Feel something, relax even more. It's already 1:30. It feels good. You can do 10 seconds more. Like you think about, okay, like I will try 5 seconds more. I'll try 10 seconds more. You give yourself these little incremental steps. 1:45. Relax. And see how your body wants to react with tension. And then you react, you don't tense up, you relax even more. 1:55. 7, 8, 9, 2 minutes. Really good, you see?
Wow. That's
and
crazy.
now,
no, but because I can't tell if I did it fully because it's interesting when I like let a little out.
Let it out, but I didn't hear you inhaling.
Right, it wasn't inhaling, but
you did 2 minutes. And after this, I didn't see you ventilating, being out of breath. That's the most interesting part.
I'm not sure if this is legit or not. I'd be curious if I could do something.
No, I saw your lungs being inflated. It's really hard to breathe when your lungs are
because I was letting it out, right? That's okay though.
Yeah.
You let a little out.
I could, if I would be breathing, I would be able to see it.
Right. Yeah, I think it's legit. I mean, I could run it back from the camera and check, but no, that is. I do see how you could. With a little bit of work, it could get to 3 or 4 minutes. That's pretty crazy.
And we did very small. Like we just a couple stretches and that's it.
When I'm underwater too, it's same thing, right? You're holding, but you can kind of like let out a little bit.
But you want to let out 10%. You don't want to exhale everything because you reduce your oxygen reserves.
Yep.
It's only in the beginning when your breathing muscles are not as trained. You do that. As soon as you start, you will feel that it's more comfortable. Then you don't want to let the air out.
Yeah.
It's only this little trick in the beginning.
Wow, that's fascinating. And I don't know if I kind of did a little.
No, you did it perfectly. You didn't cheat. I'm pretty sure of that.
That's awesome. Okay, well, first of all, you definitely have to be a repeat guest on the show. I do have a few more questions, but I'd love to have you on here. This is very fascinating. And the funny part is I have like 30 questions asked, and none of them I've asked so far. But I've just kind of been. That's what it's called, the flow show. Kind of just talk and see where it goes. But I do have some questions. Two I do want to ask before I forget. One, poker. Tell me, have you played? I know we got to play a bit of cards together. A fun game. Just wasn't poker, but. Have you ever played poker at all? Tournament, cash game, any type of poker ever?
I played poker and it was more like education event. I had a friend who was teaching me poker.
Okay.
And we played. It was a table of like 6 people or like it was a group. Mm-hmm. Everybody was a beginner. So I was a beginner and I played for a week, I guess like 5 or 6 sessions.
Yeah.
But I never played for money or never something like this.
Okay. So that's one. Would you like to ever play or go to an event? Does that interest you at all, or no real like to learn poker at all? Is that something that is any type of games, backgammon, chess, board games? Do you like?
I love the games. I don't feel like I want to gamble or try to win money with games, so that doesn't turn me on at all.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm just not this type of person.
That's
not. I like to play. I like the education process. I like chess.
Yeah.
And board games. I like all sorts of games, but it's just I'm not.
Got it. Okay, fair enough.
Gamble type of person.
All right, routine. Because I want to know in general what your daily routine is, and then also how does that vary on game day, on a day of a competition in terms of mental. Give me a little bit of a look at like a daily, your typical day. What do you do in terms of training, breath work, mental focus, meditation? What are some of your routines?
Like on the regular day, that'll be. About 2 to 3 hours, sometimes 1 hour per day of training, and it depends on availability of like if I'm close to the sea or is the pool nearby. If there is no pool available, no depth available, there will be breath work. I'll do more breath work. If there's a pool in depth, I would not do much breath work because I would just train my lungs and do everything already in the water.
Yep.
So there's about like an hour, 2 hours of water practice. Sometimes it's like even less, maybe like 40 minutes, 30 minutes. When it's competition, their deep dive, it's only 1 dive per day, and then you're really tired. You need to recover for a few days. So I would go out, do super deep dive, 30, 40 minutes, and I'm done. And it can be, then it's just dry training. I do strength, I do mobility, like Pilates. I like Pilates. And gym, like barbells, dumbbells, everything. I do weightlifting. And that'll be like 3-4 sessions per week as well. And then it's work. It's like Zoom meetings. Zoom meetings. I would focus on the company. And then
when you say company, what is a specific company that you work with primarily, that your main focus is?
My focus is Molchanov's Freediving. It's Molchanov's with S and the N because it's like family. And me and my mom started the company. Mm-hmm. And it's the company which produces the equipment for beginners, for professionals. With their professional category, we already, with our equipment, it was 70 plus world records set. Wow. With this pro category, but then we do gear for beginners, like something for anyone who just starts freediving. And it's education for professionals and for amateurs as well. And the focus is to grow the professional community, more instructors around the world, more instructors who would be able to open their own schools. So it's like franchise type of model where we work with our like business clients.
Very cool.
That's the biggest focus. And now it's a platform. We're developing the marketplace for people to be easily able to go and find courses, go and find schools around them to go and start freediving. and to also study freediving online as well, like Breathwork, what we did with you.
Yeah.
There's a Breathwork course that people can do just online as well, just watch videos.
And sorry, and I interrupted you a bit on the routine. So is it like you get up at 5 a.m., have coffee, meditate, like that type of stuff, or is it not really day by day? It's just kind of different, depends what time. Are you a morning person, night person?
I'm more of a night person, actually. I woke up. I did a lot of early wakes up when I was a kid. I was jumping in the water already at 6 a.m. So I don't do it now. I can wake up at 7, wake up at 8, depends on, I do travel a lot. So I change my time zones a lot.
Right.
And like between Europe, Asia, in US, it's a huge difference of time zones.
It can sort of take a little bit to get acclimated.
Yeah, so I acclimate a lot. And I'm usually I go to bed after 12, after midnight, like midnight, 12 or 1 a.m. Wake up, depending on time zone again, like where am I with acclimatization, 7, 8, 9 sometimes, even if I went to bed too late. I like to have, so I have the Whoop as my tracking device. I track my sleep, track my...
You gotta get you a sponsorship with them, man. That's Phelps is involved with that.
With Whoop? I like the company. Yeah. They're not my sponsors, so it's just something I use for a few years.
Put that out there. We'll maybe get them. Yeah,
maybe I'll get them. And so I track my recovery. If I went to bed late, I still want my 7, 8 hours of sleep. So
right.
I make sure I sleep.
On that.
I focus on that. My schedule is flexible. I usually do trainings in the morning, but I might as well do them during the day, like during the break. So I organize my meetings and trainings usually in the first part of the day, like from 10 to 5 to 6. Then in evenings it can be like time with friends, time with like doing some games, etc.
Are you strict diet, or do you have ice cream, dessert, some eat pasta and things, or is
I'm
your body
flexible.
like a furnace? You can just eat kind of whatever because of the training, how much you do?
No, I still can overeat. I think if I eat whatever I want, I can easily eat 4,000 plus calories, and it's not ideal for me. So my competitive mode is 3,000 calories, and non-competitive is 2,500 for my body weight. And I aim to have 180 grams to 200 grams of protein per day. So I track my protein. I want to have 180 to 200 grams of protein per day. I know my calories as well, so I want to be precise, not just because I could bulk up if I eat too much. And I track my fibers, so I aim to have about 1 kilogram, like 2 pounds plus of vegetables plus fruits, so like a big apple and avocado and all the variety of vegetables and fruits. So that is important, like to have 1 kilogram, 2 pounds of vegetables and fruits per day.
Got it.
That, proteins, and then if you have fibers and proteins, then it's really hard to overeat because it's like a lot of volume. And I don't really want to eat if I have all these proteins and fibers. And then it's really easy to hit my number with calories.
Very nice.
And it's flexible. I can hit my number with proteins, and I still have ice cream. I still have like I could say a burger as well, because I make sure my main numbers are hit. Right.
Very cool. And what has freediving taught you about life outside of the sport? Is there anything that you feel that you've really gotten from the sport that you're able to apply into the real world or daily?
I think the biggest lesson is what we talked about during the breath hold, is be able not to react to stress. Just your ability to stay calm, relax. When your nervous system, you have a reaction, like you tense up and maybe your breathing changes, you start breathe with your chest. This is much easier controlled when you develop your breathing muscles and you learn how to not to react to the urge to breathe. So this is like technique and ability to control nervous system. That's something applied to your everyday life. You don't react in the same way to stressful situations.
Yeah. And I do want to add kind of a little more, a couple of rapid fire questions before we close out here. What would be advice you would give to someone who wants to try freediving for the first time?
Start with education, because otherwise it could be dangerous. So find a coach and go through, like, learn theory, read manuals. Because in freediving, theory is important. Practice is important, of course, but understanding risks behind freediving, blackouts, how not to black out, how to do the body system, that's the most important. So start with education.
And what is a common misconception people have about freediving?
That it's hard. It's actually much easier to progress. Like the breath hold of people will think like cannot hold their breath for a minute, but actually, like with you, we did 2 minutes right here, and that's I think the biggest thing. People don't realize how much what are their reserves, what they can do. So people can do more than they think they can do. And freediving shows it really fast, and it's very inspirational when you think you can do a minute, and then you can do, and then you right away in the first session or the first like week, you can do 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And that is very inspirational. So like just not being aware of our own reserves and our own potential and like unlocking this potential is very cool.
Very nice. And do you have any pre-game rituals, pre-dive rituals, or superstitions at all?
No superstitions. I just know every step. I know like I have to, 30 minutes before the dive, I have to put the wetsuit on. I have to go in the water at a specific time. So I have these steps, but which are optimal steps for performance, but they're very logical. I don't have any rituals that will be not like logical or not part of the warm-up.
And can you share more about the Molchanov's freediving educational system and how does that work?
It's levels.
Mission, and its mission, more importantly too.
The mission is to grow the community, grow the movement, share our love for freediving, and make sure people do it safely and they enjoy freediving in the first place. Instead of pushing for records, pushing for numbers and meters, we teach how to enjoy the process, how to do it safely and enjoy it. And there are levels. You start with the first course. It can be the pool course, it can be depth course, and then you progress like level 1, 2, 3, and then you can become, there's a professional level as well. You can become instructor, and there are several levels of instructors. And after this, you can become a coach, a trainer. So there's like a lot of levels for adults. There's also quite a few levels for juniors. We have a junior course where kids can learn freediving from 4 years old.
Wow, 4 years old. Huh?
Yeah, and there's a lot of like levels. So some people come to learn freediving and then become professionals. Then become like they open their schools, and cool. That's our education part of the company.
And how do you handle the pressure of competing at such a high level? What do you think is your superpower to be able to do that? Do you feel pressure? Because like when you go on these dives, there is a lot that goes into it. There's people, there's time, there's effort, there's divers, going down with you. There's a whole process. Do you feel, the pressure of, if I don't do this today, or if I don't hit my goal, or if I don't perform what I want to do? How do you sort of deal with that thought and pressure of everything?
The pressure is there, certainly. And there is this ability to change perspective. If I start to be very like worried too much and tense, and I feel this pressure, I can think of this event from different time perspective. If you think about this event, like, okay, it seems like it's super important right now, and it makes me stressed. Think about this event from a 1 year perspective, like how many more events like this will be in the year, or like in the next 5 years. And it helps to put pressure down because, okay, like it's competition, and it allows me to think about it more like a game. It's like a game, but it's not as important as I think it is. And it's actually like a lot of other things that are more important going on. So that perspective helps, being flexible enough in your thinking to change perspectives. Because if it's too important, that's an illusion. It's not as important as we usually think it is.
Yep.
And then another level is the trust in your own ability. So build this trust with training. And I just know I can do this. I can do the dive. I need to trust my own abilities, which I build with training. I need to trust the team that I'm safe. So I'm trusting them, my life pretty much, to the safety team.
Yeah.
And then I just do the dive because I know I can do this. I did it in trainings. I did it in my like very close dives. Usually if I try to do world record or do something in competition, I did a dive already in training, which would be maybe a few feet, 10 feet shallower. Mm-hmm. But I'll be very close to this result. I wouldn't announce and try to dive something like 10 meters deeper or like 30 feet deeper. I will be very close to the dive. So I know I can do this, and this trust in my own abilities allows me to be less worried because I just do something I know I can do.
And do you ever experience moments of sort of spiritual connection when you're under? Would you say, like, could you say that? Would you say when you're deep dive, it's just like you're just like out and you're there and you just kind of feel like, wow, like I'm underwater, and you get to really take it in? Is it more your focused laser, or do you ever kind of just like feel some spiritual type of connection when you're underwater? Would you say, is that fair to say spiritual, or is that, how do you feel when you're actually on those dives?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy it, or are you so like focused on what's going on?
On their deepest dives, when it's competition, there is no time to really enjoy it in a way. Like if everything goes really well, there is this deep, like I enjoy it, yes.
Yeah.
but it's not the main objective. The main objective to be super focused, super efficient, and to make sure every movement is precise to like waste less oxygen. So the competition dives, they're all about precision and super focus. But if it's a shallower dive, if it's a training dive, then there's a lot of room for like pleasure and enjoying the dive. Okay. And what would be closest to have the spiritual experience for me, I don't think about it as much as a spiritual experience. I think about it more like as like me being like this little particle in the ocean, like feel this vastness of the ocean and something which makes you feel like you're in awe. And this feeling is amazing.
That's awesome.
But I don't think about, some people like this and think about it as spiritual experience. So depends on your beliefs, depends on your religion, etc. People can do that.
Yeah.
I just like to feel this sense of awe and like when there's big animals or just vastness of the ocean.
Makes perfect sense. Well, like I said, there's so many questions. There's so many things I want to talk about. It's super interesting. The movie is amazing. Freediver out on Amazon Prime. Also can get it on Apple. And again, we will be hopefully having more. Maybe next time maybe it'll be soon. We think you'll be an Olympic champion and it'll be in the Olympics soon and really incredible. And where can people follow? What's the best way for them to follow along with you and on the YouTube channel? I know your Instagram's super. You do a ton of stuff there. Where can people follow you and what do you prefer?
The best is Instagram. Just Alexey Molchanov on Instagram and Molchanov's Freediving on Instagram. There'll be some educational videos on my channel, on Molchanov's Freediving channel. So those two would be the best. And then whatever platform you use, I'm on less platforms. Molchanov's Freediving was on more platforms, even just much more platforms than me, actually, my personal one.
Very cool. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure. Again, we got to meet through a mutual friend, through Dan, and it's been a very much enjoyable to follow along and see this movie. It came out pretty quickly after we met. You said, oh, this movie's coming out. Watch it. It's incredible. I really highly recommend it, and I hope that the sport continues to grow, and it seems like you are doing what you love and getting to, really carry on something amazing. You have an amazing sport, amazing personality, and really do appreciate the time and hope that we have you on again. So I appreciate it so much and thank you so much. Where's your next competition? Where's the next one?
It started the season. It's January, right? Okay. So it's main one is going to be in the summer and it's going to be Bahamas in July. And it's going to be there's one big in Cyprus. So Cyprus is really good.
I go there a few times a year.
And in Roatan as well, Honduras.
Turkey, right? And near Turkey as well. There's some in
Turkey as well. Kash is one of the cool sports. I don't know if there's going to be big competition this year, but I know in Cyprus, yes. And in Kalamata in Greece. Kalamata.
Very cool. Nice, not bad locations. Get to go to beautiful places and get to have fun. So again, we will thank Alexey for coming on, and please give him a follow on Instagram and all the different socials. Get Freediver, watch it. Let me know what you think, and if you have questions for Alexey, put them in the comments below. Hopefully, he'll get to do some of those. And again, you can always watch the Flow Show. We have more episodes to come. Big shout out to Karate Combat. Thank you so much for being a sponsor. And again, Alexey Molchanov, I pronounce it right.
Yeah,
Molchanov?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
There it is. Yeah, thank you again so much for the time, and I will see you again very soon. And near Miami, please come. We every time you're in Miami, I'd love to have you on and get to stop by and hang out. And you're welcome anytime to come and stay with me. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jeff.